Jonathan, you're up first, okay?
Get closer.
I'm getting closer, all right?
Getting closer.
It's difficult. You gotta go.
What is your proposed solution to the rampant earmarking inserted to unrelated legislation that they do in Washington? I think you understand what I'm saying. Okay, we're winding down. We got enough for maybe one, possibly two questions. This goes to you, John Lash. Is campaign finance reform important to you? Wait, let me finish. I got to read the whole question. Why do you think George Bush was elected twice, and why do you think Congress is so unpopular?
In 2 minutes.
I was not in Florida. I absolutely believe in campaign finance reform. I support a clean elections law. Arizona has passed it. It's working wonders to clean up their government down there and get special interest, corporate wealthy special interest groups out of Washington and hopefully take that back to we the people government. Fundamentally, this is the one thing that we have to change if we want to take this back, if we want government back for ourselves. The second part of that question about George Bush. Look, here's the thing. I believe that there is a politics of fear and a politics of courage. I think that the Democrats are so used to being on the defense because the Republicans go on offense so well that we need to have more people like Abraham Lincoln that had courage to stand up on the controversial issues like gay marriage. We need to redefine those issues, own them, talk about equality, talk about, look, we the people means all people. It does not mean we the straight people. It doesn't mean we the white people. It means all people. And we need to take that message forward, be strong about it, and define our party and say we are going to stand up for the middle class, stand up for the underrepresented and unrepresented out here in Illinois' 14th District. That's what it's going to take to win this election. That's what it's going to take to put our party back on course.
Mr. Stein.
Cop out.
Go ahead.
Will you please ask the three questions again?
It was, is campaign finance reform important to you? Why do you think George Bush was elected twice? And why do you think Congress is so unpopular?
I'm taking a little notes here.
Okay.
Campaign finance reform is very important to me. We need to get money out of elections. It's destroying our country, and it's going to continue to destroy our country in the medium and long term. So I'd be in favor of campaign finance reform, absolutely 100%. Why did George Bush get elected twice? He got elected twice because the first time he cheated, essentially, and the second time... It was a terrible decision by the Supreme Court, and one that will resonate through many years and actually hurt the Supreme Court in the medium and long term, because there are many Americans that no longer consider it to be the great deity that they once viewed it as. The second time he got elected is because more Americans voted for George Bush and believed George Bush than John Kerry. And that's the fact of the matter is, I don't like it. I didn't vote for him. I think it was terrible for our country. But in some sense, you get, if you don't pay attention and the American populace doesn't pay attention and 50% of the people don't vote, that's who you get. You get a George Bush. And hopefully that won't happen again, and hopefully we as a country have learned our lesson. Why is Congress so unpopular? I think there's frustration out there that the Democrats finally had a sea change, took over control, and Americans don't understand in some sense that it takes 60 senators to get something done. And unfortunately, Republicans are able to stick together, and they continue to be able to have less than 50, but more than 40, and that creates a lot of problems, and there's created a backlash among the American population. That's my opinion.
Okay, very good.
On clean elections, I am also a strong supporter of the clean elections proposals, as well as other campaign finance reform that will happen along the way and earlier. And so these are the only thing I'd like to point out. These clean elections proposals have serious issues with freedom of speech. At some point, if you say only federal money is going to go into commercials before elections, then you have to tell people, no, you cannot spend special interest groups or whoever have to be told, no, you cannot spend money, you cannot talk, you cannot buy newspaper ads for some window around elections, something like that. And that probably requires a constitutional amendment, because you have to shut down certain classes of free speech, and that's a tough issue with all these things. And so anyway, I just want to point out that it's not so easy. I am a big fan of it. You get to vote on that stuff after you get in. We have to play by the rules that we have right now. Wishing we had campaign finance reform won't change the situation in this next election, and there is no alternative for all of us getting on the phone, calling up every old friend we know, and asking them if they believe in us enough to support our campaign. That's the rules we have now, but I'm all in favor of let's see, there's one other problem with clean elections that people have to be aware of, which is the sort of loopy candidates problem. Already you can see that various fringe candidates exist only so that they can get the federal matching funds for presidential candidates each time. You have to control that. And so this is an example of something that has to be prototyped at the state level, as it's being done in Maine and I believe Arizona, and just see how it works. And then I'm going to be a big fan of taking it nationwide after it's been debugged. Okay, George W. Bush, enough has been said about that. And Congress being unpopular, there are two parts of loss of popularity. There are a lot of bitter Republicans who are unhappy that they can't run Congress the way they used to. And they're, of course, unhappy, and that's their life. Okay? The other thing is that then there are Democrats who, I think, as Jotham said, are probably being a little bit unfair. The Senate majority depends on Joe Lieberman, and if you think that you're going to get Senate to act rapidly on Iraq, you should read this document.
My name is John Lash. I approve this message.